Hi, my name's Cadillac Dan. I have a YouTube channel that apparently I never filmed for. Yeah, don't be like me. If you have a YouTube channel, I don't want to film stuff. Not saying that I didn't try. Yeah, we got a little bit further in this car than what you guys seen. I was recording and my phone died, and I just kept chugging along and gonna try and bring you guys back up to speed. But then my buddy Damon, the owner of this car, he came up for the weekend, and we just ripped the thing apart and got working on it. But we found some undisturbing things. So we can bring you in here and we'll see what we found. So that's usually not the best start in the world. You know, pulling the diff cover, that ain't that big of a deal. Might see that little C-clip there. Well, we're getting a little hairier. Well, that's never good. We didn't take apart any of the brakes or nothing like that. You can see all that oil there. That's not brake fluid, which, I mean, you'd think axle seal, no biggie, right? Well, we were having some trouble getting the axle out, and that's why. We noticed a bunch of play in the axle. We wanted to push the axle in to pull the C-clip out. It wanted to be kind of stubborn, so I get a little tap with a rubber mallet. Finally, it bumped in, but yeah, when we pulled it out, I pretty much seen what I already knew at that point. So needless to say, we need an axle, which really isn't that big of a deal. Unless you want a 79 Cadillac, and then I guess they don't make them. So we called Moser, and they're basically, yeah, we have to order, or we have to custom make axles for that. Once again, not that big of a deal. It's kind of what they do. I mean, that's literally what they do. So, with that being said, we come to a crossroad. He was having a problem with the driver's side rear rubbing a little bit. Now, could that be the axle's too wide? More likely. Could it be worn out bushing? More likely. So, you know, this is a crossroad we're at. Do we shorten the rear end since we got to buy a custom axle anyways? Or do we put the stock rear end back in there, the stock length axle? I've never shortened a rear end before, but I've done a lot of things I've never done before, and somehow they work out. So that's the question at hand. He's got to figure it over, going over financially, seeing what we can do. It is a very expensive process. So yeah, it's not like something you can say, oh yeah, totally do that. Let's go for that. I have to buy a tool, which is very expensive. And you know, granted, it will make me money in the long run, and I'll have it in the long run. Expensive tool that I have, it makes me money in the long run that I had to invest a lot of money into initially. But yeah, you know, it's par for the course. So stick around and see what happens with that. So today, Dr. Dan's going to be exploring a rear end. You ready? We'll waller it out. So we need to pull the seal and the bearing out. I'm going to try and do it both at once, I guess, if that makes any sense. First time really pulling an axle bearing out, so yeah, might mess it up, but then again, might do it right. I don't know. We're about to find out. I'm gonna mess it up if I use that one, that's for sure. That looks like that should work. Need to get that out so I can get a measurement on it, because I really don't know what size it is, and I need to buy some tools to be able to make this work right. So I have to know what measurement I need. It'll stick right in there and can't get it out. That would suck. There we go. That seems pretty good, I guess. We're about to find out if it's not. I assure you. So we got our little bearing puller on there. Slide on our slide hammer. That's probably gonna be one of those deals where I wish this was still in the car. Move that out so don't fill it up with gear oil. I'm sure there's some still in the axle. Alright, here we go. Yep, that's gonna take a lot of force. That's cool. It does look to be budging, which is good. Hopefully it comes out before it falls off the stands. That would be great. You're not perfect, which is not good because we broke a bearing too. Ew, not off to a good start. Maybe I should have used the next size down. That's definitely not good. Definitely should have used the next size down. That's awesome. Just oblong that hole. Should have used a smaller one. Well, don't feel a bad spot, so that's good. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to get a inside micrometer and run it around there. Make sure I didn't bow that out any, because that could be a possibility. So let's just pretend that didn't happen. We didn't mess nothing up. Nah, the axle shaft, or the actual bore, bearing bore. I'm looking down because the rear end's down there. The bearing bore looks fine, so we didn't mess nothing up there. Always a win. But I'm going to tear apart the other side, kind of bring you guys in. If you don't know much about axles, like me, you're going to learn today. We're going to learn. Team effort. And if you do know a lot about axles, leave some comments. Yeah, I've worked on a few. I've put together one. Let's say I've had one run. How about that? This bolt right here, usually it's a 10 millimeter. On this one's 5/16. I guess that was back before 10 millimeters were invented. I don't know. Yeah, we'll undo that. It'll pull this little pin out. The pin's right there. I guess these are spider gears. Spider gears is what they're called from what I understand. But yeah, we'll slide that little pin out. We'll try not to move all that stuff back and forth. And then we'll push this axle in. Hopefully this doesn't have a groove in it like the other one did. And there's some little C-clips in there that'll pop out. There's actually one because I got this one out. Yeah, it'll pop out, fall in there, get really hard to get. You have to get a magnet. And then we can slide our axle out. And then we'll put that little shaft back in there. And hopefully it'll retain everything while we pull our carrier out. So, like I said, we'll pull that out. Oh, yeah, I'm really strong. I had to lose some last time in case you didn't already know. I'm not actually that strong. I'm pretty close, but not that strong. Alright, I'm going to set you guys up on a tripod because I don't want to pull it all the way out because then that'll sink down and kind of probably be a headache. Alright, here we go. Pray for me. And this rear end. We're both going to need it. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully I can get that out of there, which I can. So that's good. Now that I've got that, I'm going to turn everything straight up and down. So like I said, those spider gears there should stay where they're supposed to. I love a precision fit. Alright, hopefully you guys can see in there. Yes, you can. Watch that. I'll push this axle in. See it right there. There's our little clip. Just like that. See, I'll show you when I get the axle out. Yeah, there's a little groove in there. This clip just slides in there and then it pulls back. That is literally what holds your axle in. That little thing right there, which is pretty crazy to think of. Okay, I'll pull that out. So far, this side feels good. The other side, like I said, it had such a groove in the other side that axle didn't want to push in. Which when we were taking it apart, I thought it was really, really weird that that axle didn't want to push in. And I did a dummy move, you know, I mean, not really a dummy move, I guess. But I went and got a dead blow hammer. Give it some love taps. I didn't really beat the hell out of it, but yeah, probably would have been a smart move just to pick the axle up just a hair. And it would come right out. We'll leave that in there. Like I said, hopefully that'll keep these spider gears in. So right now everything rolls good. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I took one of these apart. And like I said, I am no pro by any means. You guys want to watch me pull my shaft out? That has a little wear. It ain't terrible. Which really makes me wonder, or makes me curious of how bad my Fleetwoods are. Because Fleetwoods are notorious for eating axle shafts. Now I'm talking about notorious. Like, so notorious, Moser makes them. And they have them in stock. Yeah, there you go. That is your axle shaft. So, On this side, we're gonna act like we didn't. Act like idiots on the other side. We're gonna put the proper puller in there and give her a tug. Old tug job. In a real dangerous spot of the shop, so that's cool. Slide that in there. Just like so. That actually fits pretty good when you use the right one. I say that and it goes just as bad as the other one did. So now we pulled the axle almost out the door. We'll see if we can pull it back in the door now. Alright, here we go. That went a lot easier and did not crack the bearing, which is always good. But it's weird. Oh no. I'll just bring it closer so you guys can see. How about that? Let's see. Focus. See that rub mark there? That's on the top of the axle. So that actually isn't that weird. Yeah, that would be the top of the axle, which I thought was kind of weird on the other side, but I guess it's not totally weird. And for those of you that are doing this yourselves, I used a 1" to 1 7/8 little puller here. I got this one from Harbor Freight. Like I said, you can rent these from the parts store. I just figured I'd probably be doing a few more. Rule of thumb is if you got to borrow a tool 3 times, it's time to buy it. So we'll use our high quality precision calipers. Yeah, we're like Harbor Freighting it to the max. Good thing they don't make a rear end alignment bar kit. They'll probably be using it. Nah, I'm just kind of getting a rough idea of what sizes are, because I've seen a few different versions. This is 2.24 inches, which I put my money on 2 1/4, because I'm pretty sure these aren't within, what, a 10,000th is that? I guess I'm not good with that stuff. I can just read numbers. I don't know what they mean. But yeah, so now I have an idea of what I'm looking for, bearing wise and also puck wise, because that's kind of the reason I pull this stuff out. Well, 2 reasons, obviously. But yeah, I gotta order some pucks for this. Now I gotta pull rear ends over there, so I'm looking that way. Gotta pull the carrier bearing out. Now, the whole carrier assembly. I don't know what these things are called. Yeah, we're gonna pull the chunk out. Get a measurement for something there. I don't know, the race, I guess. Yeah, should have a race in there. We'll see when we pull it out. Let's just do that. Alright, so I'm about to be knuckles deep in my buddy's rear end. But before I did that, obviously gloves. No glove, no love. I stamped a D in there. That way I can tag my rear end. Dan. Nah. Stamped a D in there for driver. A P in there for passenger. Because I want this cap to go back on this bearing, this cap to go back on this bearing. Plus that will orientate which side is up. That way I don't get them backwards. They kind of bow out a little bit by the casting, so hopefully that should work. They do have 2 arrows that point out, so hopefully that should kind of keep us in line. I went ahead and loosened these. These were 5/8. I don't know why I grabbed a 15mm, seeing as like nothing else on this thing has been metric so far. That's before we switch to the metric system. Fun fact, everybody says the metric system is great and Americans don't use it. Why don't they have 13mm drive ratchets? Interesting question. Anyways, moving on. Pre-loosen those up. That way I don't look like a wimp in front of you guys. Oh, just so strong. I could have used 1 finger to do that. 1 finger in a rear end. Jesus Christ. So here we go. We're going to pull our caps off. I should probably get a sandwich bag to put those in, but I'm not. I would like somewhere clean to set them though. So I might do that. I might get a sandwich bag. That'd probably be a good idea. Not to mention I can label what's what. Yes, but I can't see unthread that because it's such good content. Got that loose, got that loose. I'm gonna go get a sandwich bag and put those in it, and then we'll pull this whole carrier out. So if you didn't already know, sandwich bags in the shop can really be a lifesaver. I had these in that toolbox for at least 10 years. This is like back when sandwich bags were made good. They made a different color so you know it was shut. Yeah, we're gonna put those in there. Probably gonna put the bolts back in their original hole. One, to keep stuff out of there, and two, not to lose it. So right there for now. I have zero idea what the torque specs are really on these, and I do need that. So I'm not just leave that one in there. That probably won't come out too well. I'm just gonna leave that in there, I guess. Good luck, threads. I wish you the best. Now I find out that doesn't fit in the bag. Boom, perfect. I was made for it. Got all of our rear end juices all over the bag, so that's cool. Got that one all sealed up. That's our driver's side. We will put those somewhere safe in a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna clean out that oil pan. Hopefully you guys can see it. I'm gonna spray that out with some brake clean. Pull this out, set it in there. Kind of go from there, I guess. I don't know. I might just put that back in there once I get my measurement. That'd probably be the smart thing to do. I don't know what I'm gonna do, honestly. Let's just see what all happens. Let's see what all falls apart. How about that? Yep, that's in there pretty good. Like it was torqued in there for 40 some years. Let me grab a pry bar and mess some stuff up. Alright, let's find the most sensitive area on this thing and pry against it. There really ain't a whole lot of safe looking spots. I'm sure no matter what I choose, somebody will be like, oh, you should not have put it there. Which I probably agree with you. And I have zero leverage. We're gonna have to think of a better solution here. And I got one. Let's pry this little bolt, see if we can break it off first. It's not feeling very promising. Oh, right to the thumb. Awesome. That's really in there. That's cool. So apparently that's a pretty common problem. I just YouTubed a video. Dude said basically just put a shop rag in here and then turn the differential. Yeah, that way. And it'll basically wedge itself in there and pop the carrier out. So we'll see how that works. Pretty curious, to be honest. I mean, all I can do is really mess it up, right? There's snug. Oh wow, that's really hard to do. That is really in there. Good thing I got a pry bar right here. Well, that's not working, so we'll have to go back to the drawing board on that one. Welcome to Cadillac Dan's Creative Customs. Or Creative Solutions, maybe? I don't know at this point, man. I'm telling you. As Puddin says, I'm firing from the hip, man. So, as you can see, I got my porta power rigged up. This thing's being stubborn. Way more stubborn than it should be. But, you know, all this craziness aside, I started tightening up that ratchet strap before I put the square tubing under there. It was pretty tight. And I was like, well, I need a little bit of room to play. So, stuck my other square tubing under there. That's why we never throw anything out, ladies. Started tightening my ratchet strap a little bit. And actually, it's just going to pull out pretty easily. So that is a good sign. I'll bring you guys along for the, you know, groundbreaking moment, I guess. We'll see how it goes. It could go for the worst still. It's totally possible. So if you ever get a stubborn rear end, waste like an hour rigging some stuff up. Yeah, it's actually going to come out like it should. I mean, that's... Still should come out a little bit easier than that, but still, it's way easier than what it was doing. There we have it. Yeah, that was pretty odd. No guarantees on this rear end, pretty much. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it definitely not like any other rear end I've took apart before. Believe it or not, I have done this before. Once before, but I have done it. Yeah. Yeah, I actually have pulled a few of these out. But yeah, like I said, very, very strange. Yeah, that's loose. That's how it should come out. It should literally just boop, pop right out without having to do all that rigmarole. So now I am gonna get a clean spot to put that, and we'll pop it out. Well, if anything, just think of that as a learning lesson that you need not let stuff stop you in your tracks. Let's see if I can shear a finger off while we're doing this. The reason I'm being so careful, those are shims on the side. And I want to make sure that, one, the correct shim stays on the correct side. Two, the correct race stays on the right side. Yep, those are your shims. That's what dictates your pinion depth. And if you don't know what that is, I can try and explain it, but I'm not that great at explaining it. Basically, it's where your pinion gear meets into your ring gear. Yes, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's why you see people put yellow paint on there. It puts a wear mark on there and tells you how far your pinion depth is. They probably make tools and stuff to figure that out, but we ain't that fancy. Hopefully we don't have to be doing that, because if everything goes good, we should be able to put all this stuff back in its original spot. So I'm just gonna leave that in there for now. Yeah, I'm gonna go from there. So I bought this fancy measuring device. It's supposed to bolt to the center of the rear end, and you can measure out, get everything perfectly, measured. Yeah, the bolt holes don't line up. Story of my life. So probably selling that because it does me no good. Since we bought a nice fancy device that doesn't work, I'm just gonna measure off from the inside. It's a pretty flat surface there. Measure out the outside of my wheel flange, which is 24 3/16 on the dot. And 23 3/16 on the driver's side. Very interesting. Not really that surprising though, because the rim's offset. Surprised only got 1 inch of that is. I guess that's surprising. Yeah, 23 3/16. And 24 3/16. So now that we found out one thing doesn't work, let's put our pucks in here and find out they don't work too. And these are what we have to put in there. Basically just like a little hockey puck. Let's see if they fit. It's supposed to fit like a glove. Actually, it's supposed to be like a machine fit because it takes the place of the bearing, holds everything snug. That is pretty freaking sweet. I can dig that. Now there's what we're looking at. They just sitting there. Little bearing cap goes on there. Tighten it down. Don't know if you torque it. I have to check that out. But yeah, it just rod goes through there, holds everything straight. All right, so this is what we're looking like so far. We've got it good and plumb. Had it good and plumb. All right, take 2. Measure twice, cut once. I got this zeroed out. Hopefully you guys can see that. Level, plumb I should say. Zeroed my angle finder out. We got our level that way. Earlier I leveled that up, plumbed that up, and then I leveled this. Then I zeroed out my angle finder and put everything. I was like, that's pretty far out. And the top was kind of far, which I was like, that's weird. And then I got ready to record, and yeah, that was out because I adjusted this. So yeah, definitely check a bunch of times, and I'm gonna check a bunch more times. But yeah, here's what we got. I'm gonna bring my angle finder over here. I'm gonna shout out an angle over here. Same thing on the other side. Gonna be just measuring all over. I want to get this thing as good as I can get it, obviously. All right, so with our level still plumb, our angle finder is on the back of the diff cover, on the back of the differential, I should say. It is at 0, and my battery's dying on this thing, so that's cool. Should make for extra accuracy. We have 1.6 degrees. That would be to the rear, I guess. Okay, on the top, we have 1.15. All right, so yeah, I got 1.5 here. So it's tilted back 1.5 degrees. Because if I go forward, it zeroes out. All right, I know what I'm doing now. Yeah, it's tilted back just a hair, according to this. So we are gonna mimic that when we put it back together. Good enough from the factory, might be good enough afterwards. Or it might just destroy the rear end. One of the two is gonna happen. This is what I'm talking about with the wraparound. This is just a straight piece of cardboard. I used a 1-inch piece of flat bar to make it as straight as I can. I just clamped it down the table, cut this side of the flat bar, cut the other side of the flat bar. That's what I had left, just a straight piece of cardboard. Our marks do line up pretty good. That is pretty accurate. I'm gonna put the hose clamps on there because I do feel that'll be a little bit more accurate. All right, so even with a hose clamp, I mean, definitely double check, you know, a few different points. It's pretty close, but yeah, I did have to adjust a little bit. I just kind of loosened it, pushed that, tightened it, and checked all my other measurements. But it is pretty square. Really, in all honesty, it's probably just as square as I'll be able to cut by hand. With that being said, yes, this is pretty precise in my mind. But I'll tell you a story back in the day. I used to know a dude, he would shorten rear ends for race cars, and he just have a chop saw on the floor. He'd chop, you know, set an axle in there, cut through it, put it together, and send it on its way. And I was always kind of like, wow, you know, I can't believe that's really lasting. Granted, they're going a quarter mile at a time, so you know, probably have to go quite a few runs down the drag strip, you know, to really have effect on your bearings. But I don't know. That's just something kind of food for thought. You know, maybe I am overthinking it. Probably not. But so, you know, we're going to try and be as precise as we can here. I'm going to move this over here, line it up with that, mark it out. Probably cut this one first and then cut this while it's on the tube. That way it just kind of holds everything stationary for us. We'll kind of see how we, you know, as we go. All right, so we got our mark here. Just traced around there. Move my hose clamp over here to the second mark, obviously. Probably going to leave this on here and just run my blade right beside it. I think that'll be a good guide. Probably just make me a score and then pull my hose clamp, cut it off completely, and then move this over, measure, double check 1 inch. You know, I can adjust if need be and do the same thing. All right, I've got a fairly used grinder blade, cutoff wheel on my Machado. I did that to kind of keep it from deflecting as much as possible. So like I said, I'm just going to kind of score a mark around this. And if we screw up, well, then the axle is pretty much trash, so wish me luck. Alright, now that I do have my grooves made, I am going to switch out for a bigger blade because I'm running into problems of hitting right here and not being able to get pretty well smooth cut. I might leave that on there. I think I'm going to just use this as a sacrificial hose clamp. I do always have this side for another straight guide. I got 4 of them. Got to make 4 cuts. So I'm going to swap out a bigger wheel and just start going to town. Alright, got a fresh wheel. Let's get to it. Well, we have definitely went too far to turn back now. Alright,
So our cut was not perfect, that's for sure. But that is also why I put that secondary line there to match that up. And so far it's looking very good. I got my line around the edge of that hose clamp. So I can't go any further that way. I mean, I guess I can, but I'm gonna try my best not to. So yeah, we're gonna cut this, take our little section out, do our other side, and then kind of start mocking it up. All right, so we got the ends of our axle tubes all cleaned up, all beveled. Now, I did not leave any land on there. I was doing some test pieces earlier. If I left the land, I couldn't get full penetration. You know, I'm trying to get as much as I can. I'm not guaranteed it isn't like pass x-ray or nothing like that, but I'm trying to do the best I can on it. I got it all cleaned down the inside. I'd run some lacquer over it and kind of let it sit. Probably overnight. I'm going to heat it up with a torch, try and burn out any kind of oils that's impregnated in the metal. Probably let it sit a little bit then, and then go to start fitting it up. We got the end for the wheel bearings all cleaned up also and beveled up. Same thing. Clean the inside, clean it with lacquer. I'll probably heat it up with a torch and just try and burn out any kind of oils in it. Got to working away and forgot I'm making a YouTube video here. Yeah, this is where we're at. Got the rear end plate. I'll fit it up. Pretty happy with it. Put me a little gusset on the bottom there. Got our C-channel on top. This is just tacked because I'm going to break it off and weld there. I wanted to try and go a little bit further, but the backing bolts are not going to allow me to do that. So I'm going to try and tie into it just a little bit, but not really sure how much I'm going to do on that. But I did want to put this on there while I'm welding this up. That's hot, I just welded it. But yeah, I'm going to weld all that. Not all that. I'm going to just stitch the bottom, but I'm going to weld all the top, front and back, and might come back and do the bottom tomorrow. I'm going to preheat that, and then weld it, let it cool, wrap it up, all that good stuff. Should do it today, that way it can cool while I'm not here. So yeah, I don't know, I might knock it all out, who knows, it's kind of getting late. Yeah, this is where we're standing at. Just kind of want to bring you guys in. Like I said, just wanted to bring you guys in. Kind of bad about making progress, not bringing you guys along, sorry, but yeah, here we go. Alright, so we're getting ready to weld our pucks on, and it's not going so well. Here's what we're looking like. That's pretty far off. Now, we had a little bit of difference when we started, but after welding the brace on the bottom, it pulled forward, actually pulled backwards. So we're trying to correct this. I talked to the guy from the place where I got my tool from. He said heat it up and basically hit this with a hammer and give it some taps to help compress it. Really didn't seem like it changed much. When I heated it up, this tube went back quite a ways, and it just seems like it shrunk back right where it was at. Seen some other videos, they heated up and quenched it. I'm going to give that a shot just because hitting it with a hammer didn't really do anything. I actually used an air hammer and just brrrr all the way down as it was red hot. And like I said, really didn't seem like it changed much. And on the driver's side, I figured since I actually welded the back and the front jumped back and forth on the bottom plate. But this pulled forward as well, or what did I do? But this pulled backwards as well. So what I did, I put my cap up here. As I welded everything up, I had this tacked in, but I took it off. When I took it off, I had a pretty good bit of pressure. The tacks were breaking as I was cutting them. So I knew it had moved. I wish I would have checked it before I pulled this off to see how far it had moved, but unfortunately I didn't do that. So kind of figured I would counteract it and I would weld this whole front pass all one piece. That way hopefully it'd pull that tube forward. Really doesn't seem like it made any difference at all. Not quite sure what I'm doing on this side yet. It's kind of turned into a nightmare on this side. But that side I still have a little bit of hope, so I'm going to try heating it and quenching it and see what it does. Well, believe it or not, that did help out a little bit. There's a better gap. This is pretty much where it was before I reinforced everything. I did put this bar through there, checked everything out, and it was off from the factory. Which could be a good reason why we ate up the axle shaft on the driver's side. But I'm going to try and heat it up one more time. The sun kind of killed the shot on the last one. But yeah, I'm going to try and heat it up one more time. Kind of do the same thing I just did. See if it'll pull it a little bit more. Pretty much everybody I've talked to, they're like, yeah, weld that up, you're good. But I'd like for it to look good as well as perform good. So we're going to see if we can get that little bit more out of it. Or just mess it up completely. You never know. So at this point in the video, you're probably wondering, what in the hell? I'm right there with you, I assure you. So, heating it, went good until it didn't. We got this side pretty close. I really should have just left it. Tried going a little bit more. Yeah, it went back to where we started at. That side, zero luck whatsoever. I mean, I kind of expected that, putting the gusset on the top. Yeah, so here we go. We're going to back up and punt. This is either going to work or it's going to snap the rear end, one of the two. I'm kind of betting on snapping the rear end. Yeah, so what I'm doing, basically using force against itself. Got a big piece of channel under there, actually 2 pieces of channel. I'm going to jack it up here. I've got a chain around that. I put that pipe there to keep from crushing in. A little reinforcement there, or bending it, I should say. So that's either going to work or it's going to fly off, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then I'm just using that side there as leverage, kind of like a teeter-totter, if you will. This side has to go up. That side's restricting it, so it should bend that up, and that side's holding it from going further down, if you will. I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. Like I said, I'm pretty much betting my money on breaking that casting on the housing. But you won't know till you try, so let's give it a shot. Alright, rear end demolition. There's probably only going to be one take. You know, if it snaps, that's it. I wouldn't say better, but it didn't snap. So that is a plus, I guess. So I guess I'm going to repeat that step. Put some more washers on there. I'm going to heat the axle tube up, you know, because we haven't heat damaged it enough. One thing I'm kind of sort of thinking, I mean, obviously we tempered that by heating it and quenching it to anneal, I guess hardened metal, I don't know if I'd say tempered metal. You heat it up and let it cool slowly. So I'm going to heat it up, I'm going to put some force on it, see if we can get it past where we're at right there. And then I'll let it cool. I'll leave it under pressure. And we'll let it cool on its own, see what it does. Kind of running out of options here. Alright, we have got a pretty good bit of pressure. My tube is further up from my hub, which is good because there's going to be some spring back. I'm just going to let it sit, let it cool naturally, and we'll come back and see what it did. Maybe it'll work out. Probably not. Maybe. Well, we are cool to the touch. Let's see how much this did not work. So we're going to go back at it again. This is what we're working with. A lot better than what it was. It's still ain't perfect, but that's kind of acceptable from what everybody says. But we have it close, so I think I'm going to weld that on. And what I'm going to do, which will probably come back to bite me in the butt, I'm going to tack the back corner there. I'm going to get it level first, obviously. Tack the back, tack that. Run me a solid bead all the way out, just like I did over there because it worked so well. But yeah, I'm going to just try it. I'm going to run a solid bead. Hopefully it'll pull that tube forward just a hair more and make that just right. Because what's insane, you know, I've said this before, you know, I welded the back a little bit, welded there, then jumped on the front, welded. So it should keep it pretty much even, but it just totally raked it backwards. I just do not know why. For that little bit of welding, all the heat that I put in the front of that, you figure it'd be bananas forward. But we're going to give it a shot. We're going to see what it does. Probably regret it. Oh well, here we go. So here's where we're at. I got this welded. I just did one full pass. As you might see right there, it got a little terrible. Yeah, we had some extreme wind. It was blowing through the window. I was trying to block it best I could with my hand. But yeah, it got the best of me. So I'm going to grind that a little bit off and finish welding that. This lined up pretty good. That's about where it was stock. So I'm happy with that. I can live with it. Threw some tacks on the top and the bottom, but I still have to weld the back side. Yeah. I would like to do this in one pass because it looks better in my opinion, but seeing how much that side drew, well actually that side didn't draw like I wanted to when I did it all in one pass, but yeah, this will probably draw way out of whack, so I'm going to just do small little passes, probably 2, maybe 3 inches, you know, split them up. Take my time, you know, because that worked so well down here. But yeah, I got this tacked. I got my bar in there. Hopefully it'll help keep it straight. I'm going to weld that Actually, I'm going to put it all down here. I'll probably weld this first. Then I'm going to put it down here. Work on the other side, that side there, and see if I can get it any better. And I'm going to weld these last, because actually what I'm going to do when I'm done messing with everything, I'm going to cut these tacks. I did put an angle finder on there. Everything's good that way, but I am going to cut the tacks just to see where it goes. Maybe I'll do the other side. I'll turn this and see how much drag it has, if any. Hopefully it shouldn't have any. And if it doesn't, I'll leave that right where it's at, but I'm pretty positive it will. That, and I'm kind of curious, just cut that to see how much it moves. Yeah, might be opening another can of worms, but that's how I roll. All right, I'm not quite sure where I left off on this rear end build. It's been on hold for a little bit. Waiting on some axles to come in. Ordered them from Mosier. They seem to be the place to go for axles. Kind of first time doing this, so kind of just trying it out. They didn't sponsor the video or nothing. I should have asked them to. Probably would have been a good idea. But we'll see how this goes and see if we do any more axles. So far it's kind of going all right. Got a little bit of headache, but tis to be expected. So yeah, got the axles here. We're gonna go ahead and press the bearings in. The wheel bearings, axle bearings, I guess I've heard them called different things. We'll press them in, press the seals in. Need to put our carrier and our bearings back in. I think that's about it. Then we can start stabbing the axles in and see how bad we measured. Pro tip for you, they did catch me, and I'm glad they did, because I measured different axles. The axles are the same length on both sides. It is offset an inch, so it seems like they would be different, but they are not. So yeah, I'm glad they called. I was waiting on the axles to come, and I was like, they ever gonna show up? And then I checked my emails, and they were trying to get a hold of me for quite a while, and I called them, and yeah, he was like, I noticed you had a 1 inch difference. He was like, you want to double check your axles? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And yeah, that was my bad. I guess I measured to the top of my square instead of the bottom. That will get you every time, so don't do that. I learned from my mistake. That could have been a very expensive mistake. Granted, the dude is like, we probably could have just machined it down, put a new end on it, but yeah, that would have been a lot more time wasted. So yeah, don't do that. Measure twice, order axles once. With that being said, I'm not a professional axle builder by any means, as I kind of just told you guys. This is kind of the get by way. This is like a lay and play setup deal. If you're wanting to build like a real badass axle, you need to get with Brent with Pitbull Hydraulics. I've talked to him a good bit. He's shown me the differences between stock and his axles. His axle isn't just an axle thrown together. It is built for lowriders. Way heavier duty bearings, way heavier duty steel. Overall construction just in general. It is designed for lowriders. So that's the difference between the stock and his rear end setup. His rear end setup is a little bit more pricey than what you can probably get a reinforced rear end, but there's a reason for that. His saying is anything cheaper is weaker, and I've seen it. Kind of point case right here. But we're gonna do the best we can. This one's kind of a budget build. That's why we're doing this. More likely in the future for my cars, I am gonna be going with his axles, just because I've seen it. I've seen the proof is in the pudding. I've seen the pudding, so we're gonna be going that route from here on out. I just wanted to throw a video that's quick together, something kind of a DIY deal. If you are on a budget, like we are on this build, how to do it. Plus I wanted to learn, and like I said, we'll see how it goes from here on out. Might just shorten them, for budget builds, but don't know if there's gonna be a service that I offer. We'll just have to play the cards and see how it goes. All right, I got you guys looking straight down the axle tube. That right there is our axle bearing. I am gonna put it label out, except for this bearing. Yeah, there we go. There's a part number for the bearing. I'm gonna put that facing out. That way, if we ever have to do this again, I'll just pull the axle out and be able to see the number on it. Not that we shouldn't be able to look it up pretty easily. I got my installer tool. I picked this up from the parts store a long time ago. It kind of sort of works. It goes in so far as a taper goes, and then I'm gonna have to adapt and overcome. Yeah, this tool pushes on the outside of the race. You don't want to push on the bearings, obviously. So we're gonna use this to knock it in. Try not to drop the rear end off the stands. That would be very bad. We're gonna try and drive it in as square as possible. Hopefully that'll all work out like we intend it to. Here we go. getting a little crooked. It's not good. I'm also trying to wash her in too. Probably should do this in the car, probably better. That is going as bad as possible, which is awesome. That's why I don't really like trying to record while I'm doing stuff. It is crooked, which is not good. So I'm trying to straighten it up. Might have to pull it back out. There we go. See, straighten back up, which is good. Nothing split, which is good. Bearing spin, which is good. Planes flying over. Check our pinion here because it's about to pop off and let the rear end fall. That was the main thing I was trying to kind of keep an eye on because everything's shifting back. I didn't want that shifting off, the rear end toppling off the stands. That would be bad. To finish pressing it the rest of the way in, I've got a 38mm Harbor Freight socket. It fits in there nice and snugly. Turn that sideways, give her a little taparoo. That sounds to be seated. Looks to be seated. Got a little ring there. Even across there. So far everything is looking good. Now you may have noticed I didn't put any kind of grease on the outside of the bearing. I thought about it. I watched a few videos and most people suggest not to do that because it'll actually make the race spin in the housing. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of pre-lubrication in those bearings. You know, obviously when the rear end's filled up, it will have some kind of lubrication, but don't want a dry start on a brand new set of bearings on a brand new set of axles. So we are gonna try and get a little bit in there at least. And we'll get our seal in there. While I got some oil on my finger, go ahead and wipe our seal once again. That way we don't have any kind of dry start. Because this is kind of a pain in the butt to go back and fix it once you're done. You kind of got to take a lot of stuff apart. Alright, I'm going to grab my axle. I'm going to grab my seal driver again, match it up with that. We'll press that in there. Start that by hand. Once again, get it somewhat square in there. We'll try and drive it as straight as we can. That feels to be seated. I almost want to say, I'll have to look back in the video, I think the stock one's flush, but then again, the reason I did push it back in a little bit more is because I know the axle has to go in for that C-clip to be able to be made. So I don't know if that needs to be allowed. Granted, it has a taper there, so it has to go in all the way. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, so we're going to throw our carrier bearings, all that good stuff in. When I pulled this out, I pretty much set it all in line. I run a big zip tie through it. That way the left stay on the left, the right stay on the right. That way everything is shimmed the way it needs to be. Shouldn't have to do any kind of more lineup stuff other than that. Should be good to go. So I'm going to cut the zip tie. Try and put it all up here in one graceful swoop without pinching my fingers. We will see how that goes. Alright. Alright. Could have been better. We're a little bit crooked. And we're stuck. Grab a pry bar. A little cocked to the side just a hair. Contemplating leaving a shim out, probably should have. This thing was a real booger to pull out. So I wouldn't doubt it being a real booger to put back in. Why does not surprise me one bit. Well, that is just not going the way I anticipated it to. I mean, kind of actually is, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty used to this stuff happening. Drop that in there without our shim. Everything aligned.
That's the sharp. Alright, we're in. Now to try and get our shim in there. Because everything wants to slide over that way to the driver's side of the rear end. Because that is the way the gears want to go. Alright, the carrier's going in. The shims are staying up. Isn't the greatest in the world, so you got a brass punch. Try and tap those down. They appear to be moving. They could be moving better, in my opinion. Still is not seated all the way. Well, we got some good news and some bad news. Good news is, I'm a tripod. You guys aren't sitting on a piece of pipe anymore. Obviously, the pipe's probably better though. Bad news, yeah. You guys might have heard that little tink. I was tapping that with that rubber mallet. Yeah, don't do that. That was dumb. I should not have done that. I knew it. The weird thing is though, I pulled all this out, so it should fit right back in. I literally zip tied everything together so it stayed in the correct orientation, and it doesn't fit. Hello, door. Yeah, it doesn't fit. So I'm assuming this kind of shrunk. Best of my knowledge, this is the first time I've ever had something like this happen. Granted, this is the first time I've welded up a rear end with a chunk out. Might be a fatal flaw there, but I've never had any issues before. You figure if it's squeezed too tight, you'd be wearing out the carrier bearings. But yeah, this is the first. You know, as you guys may know, I'm no differential expert by any means at all, but apparently we're going to learn. Figure it out, or destroy a rear end in the process. I mean, we're on a good path for destroying a rear end. You know, good way to do that. But yeah, I got some of the goop to put on there. It's not the yellow stuff I was looking for. Stuff's blue. We're gonna see how that does. Stack some shims in there. Turn it, see what it does. Go from there, I guess. Wow, we're fired from the hip. You know, figure it out. So after I hammered that shim in this side. It was really hard to pull this chunk out. I don't know why. That would be a possibility, but for some reason it was. Not a clue in the world. Yeah, rigged this up to the ceiling rafter and just ratcheted it and brought the lower end up and just kind of patted it a little bit, and it pulled it out really nice. So I'm going to kind of utilize that technology. That way I can kind of just have that floating there. And I can just shove some shims in there and hopefully not having to, like, you know, scatter them all out of the bottom of the differential. There was 0.24 according to my Precise Harbor Freight caliper. I do actually have a better caliper, a little bit more name brand one, except it doesn't have any batteries in it. So Harbor Freight it's gonna be. And that actually fits pretty good. That is 1.9, I believe, is what it was. That fits in there okay. I almost want to tap it, but yet again, I almost don't. I might do a light tap on it and see what it does. I might just pull this up just hair. I would like for that to go in a little bit easier than what it did. Now I gotta get out of there. Yeah, I would like it to be a little bit easier. As I said, I am gonna do can't think of what it's called, where you check your depth check. I don't know what it's called. But yeah,
I'm going to try and pull that out, maybe some needle nose pliers, but just a tad bit smaller. My fingers are so cut up. That was a metal Chevy too, so that's cool. I'll find my good calipers and get that splinter out. And yeah, we'll put a smaller shim in there and kind of check it, see what it looks like. Alright, so I put my 1.9 stack of shims in there. It was too big, which is not good at all. Seeing as 0.24 was in there. Yeah, something has changed. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put this back on. I've got them snug-ish. I could probably cram one more in there if need be. I put small shims in there if I didn't already say that. I got, apparently each shim is 0.9, how it comes up to 1.9, Harbor Freight I guess. But yeah, I got my 0.9 shim in there, and then some of the small ones I didn't even measure to see what the smaller ones were. We're being professional so far, so might as well keep that up, right? So we're going to put this in there. I want to say you torque it. I might do a little bit of YouTubing to see. I'm not a professional by any means. I've said it, I'll say it again. So we'll put our caps in there. Like I said, I guess we'll torque them. I don't know. About to find out. And we'll put our little paint on there. Spin her for a circle and see what it looks like. Alright, got the bearing caps torqued down to 65 foot-pounds. That's the best I could find, kind of what everybody recommends for this style rear end, so we're going with that. And we'll smear us a little bit of paint on there, turn it, and see what it looks like, I suppose. That's what we're using apparently. Looking for the yellow stuff. Our store didn't have it. Really, in all honesty, the amount of time I waited, I could have probably just ordered it offline. But you gotta try and support the local stores sometimes, because you know, without them you can kind of get in a bind. That is really, really dark. Yeah, that ain't really worth crap. So I might as well just order the yellow stuff offline. That is super dark. I mean, it's like literally the same color as the metal. I was expecting maybe like a bright blue. Ain't worth crap. We'll try it anyways, but I don't see a good result at all. Alright, I'm sure you guys can't see it because I can barely see it. But we're going to spin it right around, see what it looks like. There's a lot of wiggle right there. That was a pinion angle. It wasn't really anything I had to do with that. Which I guess that could change that also. Hard to really say. That stuff really isn't worth a crap. That sucks. There was a little bit of money and a lot of bit of time wasted. Like I said, I literally could have ordered it off Amazon for the time that I needed it. Yeah, I ain't worth crap. So, I guess we're gonna order the yellow stuff from Amazon, come back and do it again. So we got our yellow stuff in. I mean, it seems to be a lot better, I guess. Like I said, I'm no expert. That blue stuff, that sucked. Couldn't even see it. But yeah, put the yellow stuff on there, run around. It seems to be alright. I had a buddy of mine come and check it out. He says it's good to go, so we're going to send it. So here's a little sneak peek of how it's going. A little sneak peek on the build we got coming up. So stay tuned for that. We have plenty of clearance. Everything's looking pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Not really sure how educational really it'd be. Literally just trial and error. This is my first time. Not gonna lie. I'm not afraid to say, hey, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. Really didn't know what I was doing here. Relied on a lot of people. Helped me out on this. Mittler Brothers, that's who I got the jig from. Brent from Pitbull Hydraulics, he kind of guided me along. Granted, he said, you should probably just buy a rim for me.
yeah, I probably would have been better off, you know, especially buying the tool and the time I have invested in it. Yes. If you're unconfident about your work, I would definitely say buy a ring from him. But yeah, once again, he helped me out a lot. But we have a full build on this car, if you couldn't already guess. I mean, you can see right there the front end's torn apart. A lot more dirt is on the car. I don't even know if I show the car in this video. If you guys watch the channel, you've seen me do a video for rear shocks. That was on this car. I do a video for front shocks. I need to put out. I had people asking me about rear shocks. That's why I went ahead and edited that video. Yeah, I do need to do another video on the front. We're not all about lowriders. You know, there are people that don't make these cars lowriders. God, I don't know why. But yeah, I have a lot of fix-it videos for just, you know, standard stuff. If you have a suggestion or a question, feel free to ask. I'll make a video if I have something laying around that I can make a video out of. That way I can, you know, share what little bit of knowledge I have with you guys. That's pretty much where I'm going to leave it at for this video. Yeah. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment. Try that shirt out. Woo, buddy mine. Yeah. Remember, you won't know what you can do until you try. Get out and build your ride. Appreciate you guys watching. See ya.